Alright guys, today we're going to be conducting a heat transfer observation in which we observe the rate of heat transfer from a hot cup of water to a cold container of water when we submerge the hot container in the cold container so that the container and water are touching. So we're going to use a line graph to show the changes in the temperature over time, because that is something that you guys have learned in math. But today ours is going to look a bit different because we're going to be plotting two sets of data, the cold water and the warm water. Our cold water is going to be in blue and our warm water will be in red on the line graph to the right. All right. So along the x-axis, we're going to put time. It's the independent variable because we can't change how fast time goes by, and the temperature will be on the y-axis because it is the dependent variable. The change in temperature is dependent on the rate in which the heat is transferred from one cup of water to the other. So the temperature is dependent on how fast it transfers. So again, notice here on the thermometer how rapidly the temperature starts to decrease as soon as it is submerged into the other cup of water. Alright, so as we are continuing to watch on the left as the temperature decreases from the hot water, and it looks like it's a slight increase to the cold water, so it looks as though the heat is being transferred from the hot water to the cold water. So as we're watching that, we're going to go ahead and set up our line graph. So we put our time in minutes in equal intervals along the x-axis there so that we can plot our different temperatures. And now we're coming up on about 30 minutes time-lapsed into our observation. 20 minutes into our time-lapse observation. And again, we see that the hot water temperature is decreasing, so that tells us that the heat is being transferred to the cold water. And as you can see, at 20 minutes, the water has increased in temperature of the cold from 58 degrees at the starting point to 72 degrees now at the 20-minute marker. So again, the heat is being transferred from the hot water container to the cold water container. We're coming up on 30 minutes now of our time-lapsed heat observation. And at 30 minutes, again, we see that the temperature of the warm water is decreasing. It's at 76 degrees Fahrenheit now, and our cold water, which started at 58 degrees Fahrenheit, is now at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and then you'll also see over to the right, I'm making sure that my numbers are evenly spaced out along that y-axis so that we can plot our points accurately and get a good reading as to how the temperature changes over time. All right, that y-axis looks much better than that x. All right, now we're at 40 minutes time lapsed here in our heat transfer observation. So at 40 minutes, the hot water is at 73 degrees. That is a big change from when we started at 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Lots of heat has been transferred to the cold water container. And our cold water is at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and now as you can see on the right, I'm plotting my cold water temperature points. Remember, we crawl along the x-axis before we walk up to the y-axis to plot that point. Looks like the cold water increased very rapidly, but then it kind of plateaued out, maybe even decreased a little bit there at the end. All right, let's see what happened with the hot water when we track the change in temperature over time here. Remember, we go along the x-axis first when we're plotting our points, and then we go up to the y-axis. Oh, and look at that, right at the end, the hot water and the cold water, neither one is hot or cold anymore because they were the same temperature. Looks like they both ended at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Very interesting. All right, so you're going to use this data to analyze it and answer the questions that are in your ECHO assignment. Remember, if you have any questions, please email your teacher.